Can you see the slide now? Right.
Right.
All right. Okay. Thank you to Dr. Solhan, as the moderator of this webinar. And also thank you to Dr. Annie for inviting me to share some knowledge or information during this webinar for supporting your event currently happening in UiTM, right? So just now I just listened to Dr. Sohan said that this is a 1 month activities, right? And they're expecting that the participant will submit the review paper, right? The output will be the review paper. But I'm sorry, because of this today webinar, I'm not going to share with you about how to write a review paper or SLR paper, or there are so many types of review paper. Narrative literature review, critical review, position paper, comparative study paper, survey paper, SLR, and so on. There's so many types of literature review paper, and that's thing I think we can share probably in another session. But today I just want to share to the participants and to this event about another perspective that how we can build our thesis, right? The academic thesis from a design science research point of view, right? Because why I'm promoting this kind of a topic today, kalau kita lihat academic, okay, cannot stand alone, you know? The academic institution cannot stand alone because of so many constraint, budget constraint, limited research funds, or so on. So we need to find out what are another way we can realign our research in university that can quickly attract interest from industry, right? But again, of course, the research is time consuming, right? The research we're taking up probably minimum for GOT student can take up 2 or 3 years. And then industry also expecting that to use your result or your prototype, for example, your algorithms on quickly. Most of the industry are interested to use your output probably within 3 or 6 months or up to probably 1 year, right? That is, I'm talking about from the ICT or software perspective, right? But again, yes, that is what industry expecting. But we also in academic, we still need to look after the fundamental outcome of the research, right? The knowledge contribution, right? And then we need we are given up to 3 years a minimum to graduate, right? And how are we going to balance this, right? So I'm thinking of that. Okay, yes, industry player, you can if you tidak sabar untuk menunggu the output of the research up to 3 years, okay, no problem. But at least I can produce one thesis within 3 years, and then when you read the thesis, you can understand what I'm doing, and not and then at least the outcome of the thesis within 3 years can attract your interest, and then after that you can take it up or pick up anything that from the thesis for the purpose of industry direction or industry attention. That's the main idea of the how I'm going to do this. Okay, so in the information system research, for example, I'm coming from the information system discipline, right? Most of the student or researcher give much attention on the quantitative research, right? Qualitative research. That's which we have. That's we are talking about the behavior science, right? Behavior science research, for example. Yeah? There are two basic information system research paradigm exist in the information system, for example, right? In generally, we have a behavior science research, and then we have the second one is the design science research, all right? So the behavior science research is the goal is to understand the phenomena, to understand, to find the truth of the phenomena, all right? This is what you, the student will be coming up with the research model, to do the questionnaire, to do the survey, to understand what, for example, the technology acceptance, technology adoption, technology impacts, right? Continuous intention of the system, of the artifact, so on. So this kind of behavior research are too common in the information systems point of view, in the information system field, right? But another kind of the research paradigm in information system field, for example, there are design science research, right? The goal of design science research actually to find the utility of the artifact, all right? Producing the solution, come up with the artifact, ICT artifact, information system artifact, and solve the business problem. And by doing this, we can look or we can identify the knowledge contribution from these activities, right? So then I can see that, okay, all right, to meet the industrial attention, to attract industrials, industry partner understand our work from the academic point of view, I think the design science is a good framework. It's a good paradigm to build the thesis. So started in 2009 when I came back from my PhD, I tried to understand the movement, the group, or the research direction from the design science research group. Then I started using this framework, then started supervise the student, PhD and master to build the thesis from the design science research paradigm point of view. So that is how I started the journey. All right. So then, all right, today, today is I'm going to share about how we can build the thesis skeleton using the design science research framework. And first of all, sorry, I should introduce myself. This is my website. Everyone can go to my website and browse what I've been doing since 2009. I up this website. Then can find out what the research I have done and who the students, what kind of the research topic, and I publish on from this website. And this is a video talking about from the founder of the design science research in information system by Prof. Hefner. I will run this video after I delivering this webinar session. Okay. As I said just now, we need to make industry our friend, and then we need to attract the industry, understand the thesis that we built after 3 years, right? So the framework that I'm promoting now is using the design science system, design science research paradigm and design science research methodology. And the overall is the design science research framework to build the thesis, right? And why? Because the academic and industry complementary nature, all right? So we have a business problem out there. And from the design science research, we can identify the research not necessarily come from the literature at first place. We can tackle the issue or problem from the reality, the real problem outside, right? For example, like pandemic, COVID-19. We don't need to start to identify the problem from the literature about the pandemic. when the pandemic like COVID-19 started, this is a trigger of so many research problems, right? Then we can build the narrative or the motivation from the COVID-19 scenario, and then to come up with the solution to that, right? So this is what you call the business problem needs is always there outside, not necessarily coming from the literature, right? Not necessarily coming from the systematic literature review, right? Or narrative literature review. That is the academics, right? But the research problem can come from the real problem, the reality, the surrounding yourself, right? As a researcher. And then triggered by the business problem, then we can find out how academic research can come in and build the thesis from the design science point of view, all right? And then you build the thesis, and then in the thesis, of course, you need to look after the fundamental contribution because that is your PhD and master merit. And at the same time, can we produce the POC, the proof of concept, a working POC that can attract industrial fund or industrial interest on your thesis, right? Then the industry needs and demand is always berpusing-pusing lah bersama dengan academic community. Alright. Again, bila kita bersama industry, always the industry want to see the tangible outcome of our research, right? Quantitative behavior research is not very easy to convince industry player, mainly when the industry want to understand your tangible outcome. All right. But for the design science research category, that you can, because you are working on the artifacts development, then easier you can come up with the POC, proof of concept. So to my student, by default, if you build the thesis from design science research framework, then it's a 2+1. You must very clear what your knowledge contribution, and at the same time, your POC will be coming out from your thesis. Then that is a base or basic to attract industry needs. This is the minimum requirement to my student when they want to do the PhD using the design science approach. All right, what is the design science? This is not new. All right, it's about science of the artificial. All right, and the design science actually focusing on the proposing a solution or creation of innovative artifact to solve a real problem. And again, the real problem. And is that the real problem coming from the literature? Not necessarily. Right, a bit menongkar arus, tetapi because the finding from literature by having a review papers on, all right, sometimes it's not very real because of there are so many parameters that of course you can highlight the gaps on, but again you are not really in the real situation of the previous work did or done by the previous researcher. But if you address the real problem that you are there, right? You are addressing one-to-one to the problem, right? To the business problem, real problem outside, right? So in the design science research, they are promoting you, encourage you to start the problem coming from the reality, real problem outside, surrounding you, right? Not necessarily from the literature. And then they're promoting the pragmatic paradigm, all right? The pragmatic paradigm, what does it mean, pragmatic paradigm? All right, the pragmatic paradigm means that involve research design that incorporate operational decision based on what we work best in finding answer for the question and under investigation. And this enables pragmatic researcher to conduct research in innovative and dynamic way, find solution to the research problem. So it's the design science research at first place. They are a pragmatic paradigm. You are tackling the real problem. You are coming up with a practical solution. It sounds applied research. But you still need to look after of the fundamental outcome. All right. This is how we need to deal with to balance these two expectations. All right. So 2007, if I'm not mistaken, design science movement telah dibawa kepada information system field, right? I assume that among us here, they are coming from the information system field. So 2007, this Prof. Hefner from MI published one article in MISQ. Those in the information system field must know what MISQ journal. So they're promoting about, okay, now information system researcher must bagi attention to the movement of the design science in information system, right? So this is the overall framework how we can apply design science research when you build your thesis, right? First of all, we have environment that's surrounding us, not necessarily from, again, I keep saying that, not necessarily from literature, the environment among surrounding researcher. The problem can come from the people, organization, about technology itself, that come out with that trigger the research opportunity, right? Then that can trigger the business problem, where you need to build the solution in order to tackle that requirement, right? Then we have in the middle information systems research coming in. You develop the artifact, and then you justify with the artifact, evaluate. That is iterative way. And then by doing this, you need to have to adopt the scientific method from the knowledge base on your right far side. Okay, you can use any methodology, you can use any construct or models coming from the knowledge base. Then by doing this activity, we try to see what are new knowledge from these activities, then can add on back to the knowledge base, right? This is overall idea of the design science research, right? So there is tiga kitaran penting, the three important cycles. So the first one is the relevant cycle. This is how your research program started, from the environment, right? So then the design science research design cycle. This is how you build your solution. Then you can position or make a claim during these activities. There is a knowledge contribution created, and that knowledge contribution created can be sent back to the rigor cycle, right? So by in the design cycle, always adopting or applying rigor cycles where you can apply any scientific method, model or construct from the knowledge base, right? So this is a similar framework. Okay, we have relevant cycle, design cycle, and so on. All right, Hefner, 2007, published in the first article talking about design science research to build the academic work. He come out with a 7 guideline. All right, how the design science research can be done. All right, can be boleh dilaksanakan dalam membangun sebuah academic research or in this sense is a thesis, right? So the first guideline is design science research must produce a viable artifact in the form of the artifact can be the construct, can be a model, can be a method and a sensation, like prototype, for example. So this is a common to probably others field like computer science, right? And also software engineering, right? This is common because building artifacts are common to this field, right? But to the information system, building artifact is not a major concern, all right? Because most of the researchers by default concentrating on the behavior science. Because of that, they have not tried to build a systematic approach and systematic framework in the design science, where now the researcher coming from the computer science and software engineering also adopt the systematic framework introduced by the Hefner. So like, for example, this guideline, right? So the guideline number 2, the objective of design science research is to develop technology-based solution to important and relevant business problem. Again, it's Hefner always saying about the business problem, all right? They're talking about the real problem surrounding you, all right? And how this can be resolved by your artifact. And then from that, you can claim some knowledge contribution to the body of knowledge. And then the guideline number 3, the design evaluation, where the artifact that you develop, you need to evaluate in terms of quality, in terms of utility, efficiency, so on, via well-executed evaluation method. And the guideline number 4, research contribution. This is something that in Malaysia, for example, when the thesis talking about development something, you know, it's like, oh, this sounds undergraduate project. No, the undergraduate project can become the PhD thesis now. I can see the letter or one of the example, how the thesis, PhD thesis is about developing prototype, all right? But in Malaysia, probably menongkah arus, but in the design science, it's allow it happen as long as there is a knowledge contribution can be claimed into the body of knowledge. So the research contribution is about effective design science research must provide clear and verifiable contribution in the area of design artifact, design foundation, and design methodology. Saying that the guideline number 4 menekankan bahawa bukan sekadar membangunkan sesuatu prototype atau sesuatu artifact, tetapi dalam proses pembangunan itu, ia juga perlu melihat kepada sumbangan pengetahuan, knowledge contribution to the body of knowledge. Because the guideline number 4 inilah yang menentukan PhD or master merit dianugerahkan. Right? And the guideline number 5, the research rigor is a design science research rely upon the application of the rigorous method in both the construction and evaluation of it. And this is what is the scientific method coming in, where when you build the artifact, when you evaluate the artifact, all these must use rigorous method. Right? For example, you can use a quantitative approach in evaluate the artifact. You can use a qualitative approach when you evaluate the artifact. But by having this, not saying that you do the mixed method, is wrong. Right? You still use the design science research as a methodology, as your paradigm. But when it comes to the evaluation of artifact, you adopt any research, any scientific method from qualitative or quantitative when evaluating the artifact. Okay, so the guideline number 6, design as a research process. The search for an effective artifact requires utilizing available means to research desired end while satisfying law in the problem environment. Right? And the guideline number 7 is about how you communicate your research, your output research to the community by having a publication and so on. After Hefner published this article, there is 2008 Peffer, another guru in the design science research, come up with the clear framework of how design science paradigm can be conducted and can be used to build the thesis, right? To build the academic work, right? So this is what you call a design science research methodology, or DSRM. So DSRM actually is about a process model published by a researcher to help a researcher to conduct design science research. Beside using the guideline by Hefner, we have also another way to conduct to build the thesis using the clear framework of the design science researcher. So there is so many process model by Peffer, adopted from Takeda, so on. But in my thesis, most of my students, I give very straightforward direction. My student will use the Peffer 2008 framework when you build the thesis using the design science research, where the framework start with the problem identification, solution design, evaluation, and we have several phases in the framework, and then the chapter can be organized according to the process model by Peffer. And also there is a direction in the design science research literature where recently researchers come up with a recent framework. That even you can do the research in your PhD or master talking about what the best framework, a process model can be proposed to conduct design science research. So this is what Peffer published in 2007. Subsequently, after Hefner published the first article, Design Information System, and this is a by Peffer framework. We have these activities and problem identification and motivation. What is the problem? Define the research problem and justify the value of solution. Define the objective of solution. How should the problems be solved? Design and development. Then this is a template given by this founder, then make especially IS researcher to conduct and to give more attention on the design science research category. All right. So Peffer also give this template to the IS researcher, can be used, and even computer science also adopted this template in order to build the thesis. And this is a common phases, and objective of solution normally is what the solution or artifact they're going to build, and define the objective of that, and this is a possible entry point for the research can be observed, right? All right, this is one sample how from the overseas thesis adopted design science, okay, using Peffer framework. Right? For example, here is a problem identification and motivation. It's about users' driven data contribution in OJT portals, and then they need to have these OJT portals in then define objective of solution. They need to develop architecture to support users-driven data contribution using blockchain. And then developing the solution, they're coming with the architecture for the blockchain. These are the artifacts. And then in the thesis evaluation consists of demonstration and evaluation itself. So the proof of concept of development of GD, so on, right? Then the process iteration. And by doing this iteratively, the knowledge contribution need to be observed and then highlighted, and then claimed as a knowledge contribution to the body of knowledge, right? Same, this is another example, adopted Peffer template, build the thesis. All right, when we're talking about design science research, it's talking about a new innovative artifact, coming with a solution, so on. What kind of artifact? Generally, published by Hefner is the first article. The artifact can be divided to the construct, to the model, to the method, to the instantiation, and also to the design theory itself, all right? And then artifact need to be evaluated in terms of usefulness, utility, function, purpose, acceptance, and so on. And actually, when you do evaluation, the behavior science research can come in. That's why design science research and behavior science is a complementary nature, right? So, what the scientific method can be used to do the design science evaluation? So many methods. This is one of table 2. The method categorized into the observational. You can use a method from the analytical category, experimental. So because of the design science is a pragmatic paradigm, so whatever that things that you can justify, use to evaluate with well justification, and then from that we can claim there is a knowledge contribution highlighted to the body of knowledge, that is fine, right? Because of there is a no one size fits all approach, but the general template given by founder of the Science Research Information System is very clear that we can use it pragmatically. All right. This is another article by Gregor, published as well in MISQ. Because this founder, this guru found out, dia merasakan bahawa researcher menghadapi masalah. They feel that difficult to position the knowledge contribution because some people say, oh, design science is just matter of development. Just matter of come up with a solution, algorithm, technique. Is it applied work? Is it developmental work, right? But how are we going to position the contribution? Because in academic, we want to see the knowledge contribution, then we can award you master or PhD. So because of that, this guru, Professor Shirley Gregor, for example, they come up with the article to help us researcher or any researcher that want to adopt design science to position how to highlight the knowledge contribution. And they came up with a very beautiful and fruitful framework to help a researcher to position the knowledge contribution. And I always ask my student, okay, this template diagram, this framework, it must exist in your chapter 5, right? Because when you in the chapter 5, you need to make a claim where your contribution, what is your knowledge contribution. Use this framework as a template, and then in order to discuss your contribution. So this is a very simple template. It's a very simple framework, and most of my students will use this template when discussing the chapter 5, right? So when we build the PhD thesis, all right, using design science, and when we discuss the contribution in terms of knowledge contribution, a researcher can adopt the template and by justify whether the solution in the quadrant improvement or the solution in quadrant of expectation. All right, majority the student, even my student, will discuss the contribution in terms of improvement. All right, because they build the solution, they build the artifact, then most of the artifact they build is because of they've developed a new solution for the non-problem, and then they need to show the solution better than the previous work. This is about literature, all right? This is make a contribution to the literature, all right? And this is to make sure PhD and master merit is obvious, all right? So another quadrant that is acceptation, okay, where they extend non-solution to the new problem, all right? For example, you are in the field database, but the non-solution is not exist in the database problem, right? And then you come up with the extended solution that apply to the new field. This is what we call acceptation. This both quadrant is a common to the thesis, design science research thesis, in order to highlight the contribution in terms of knowledge contribution. And the routine design, this is what I'm trying to avoid. I will always remind the student, if you cannot justify your knowledge contribution in terms of improvement or in terms of acceptation, then it will always masuk ke kategori routine design. So what is a routine design? Where will your solution apply the non-solution to non-problem. This is always consultancy work, right? Itu kerja-kerja perundingan di industri. Okay, yang kita tak yang kita tidak sangat buat research, tetapi kita banyak menggunakan existing solution to the non-problem. Alright. Another quadrant, this is very difficult. Right? Invention. Okay, invent new solution for new problem. Okay, this is always if you build the thesis, then you claim your thesis in terms of knowledge contribution in this quadrant, meaning that your thesis always first. All right, we can imagine that Bill Gates, right, did the PhD and he built the innovative solution, Microsoft operating system. It's a prototype, it's a solution, it's a operating system, it's a software. This is a category of design science instantiation. Then he first did it, right? Then his thesis, we can, if he adopt the design sciences paradigm in organizing his thesis, then we can put his thesis as an invention. Okay, so always the thesis coin up new things as a first one, as a first person, as a first researcher. Then we call it an invention. All right. In summary, all right, design science is a research approach in information system field. And now other fields also adopted what the framework proposed by the Hefner in the information system. It's based on pragmatic paradigm, which is more on problem-solving process thinking. And design science research methodology, DSRM, is a process model, okay, by Peffer. Just now I showed the diagram, which is a design science research grounded. We refer to DSRM. The focal point of the design science research thesis is a big artifact from the beginning, from the chapter 1 up to the chapter 5, for example. It's all about developing artifact, right? However, the artifact is considered as design science. This is very important. Remember the guideline, the Hefner design, Hefner guideline number 4, if I'm not mistaken, is research contribution, all right? The artifact is considered as design research if there is a knowledge creation have been contributed to the domain of knowledge, body of knowledge. This is what we refer to design science research knowledge contribution framework just now. Okay, we use it to help us to position the knowledge contribution. And in design science research paradigm or design science research in general, your thesis must be able to highlight the 3 cycles. The first one is solution design cycle, how you build the solution. The first one is a problem domain, it's a relevant cycle, how your research problem triggered. Not necessarily from literature, it can come from also from the surrounding environment. The second one, you build the solution, design cycle. And then the third one is the knowledge domain, is the rigor cycle. You use the scientific method to build and then to evaluate the artifact. At the same time, you observe knowledge contribution, knowledge creation from these activities, and add on back, okay, to the knowledge base, I mean the literature. All right. Again, because I'm talking about how we can build the thesis using the design science approach. So in general, the thesis that organized by design science research paradigm, we actually aim 2 birds in 1 stone, right? This is my students means that the thesis seen as the applied research along with the fundamental derivation or contribution. Okay, the thesis seem like macam menjurus kepada applied research, tetapi sumbangan fundamental itu sentiasa dijaga dan juga boleh dijustifikasikan, okay, supaya merit PhD atau master itu obvious. So my student, I always give the 2 skeleton, okay. Those students coming from industry, I will give the skeleton number 1. And okay, the skeleton number 1, we have a chapter 1 for introduction. We have a chapter 2 after a literature review. And then we have chapter 3, overview of the design science research, part 1. And then we have application of design science research into your context is considered as a part 2. And then the chapter 4, we have a part 1 where you design and develop your solution, your artifacts. The most difficult chapter in the design science research thesis is the chapter 4, particularly in the part 1, right? So the part 2 is your evaluation, consists of demonstrate, put your solution to work, demonstrate it, put it through, and then feedback. Measure in terms of utility, measure in terms of efficiency, feedback, users feedback, so on. This is part 2 evaluation. And the chapter 5, discussion, contribution. In the chapter 5, you can use the template of the framework of design science contribution, knowledge contribution framework to highlight, to help you to discuss the contribution of the solution from knowledge point of view, right? Knowledge contribution point of view. So most of my students coming from industry, practitioner, so they will adopt the design science research to build their thesis. Then I give the very minimal chapter, 5 chapters, okay, to organize this work. The skeleton number 2 we extended to the 6 chapters. This is for those students not coming from industry or the student want full-time, daily in the office, in the UF campus. Then this student, I will give this skeleton 2, where he have additional chapter 6, right? Okay, for this today exercise, I will based on the skeleton number 1, right? I assume that student coming in is an industrial base or practitioner to do the PhD, then they want to adopt the design science research framework. So the chapter 1, introduction, chapter 2, again, literature, chapter 3, part 1 and part 2. And then I'm using the template given by Peffer for the DSRM. And chapter 4, we have part 1 and part 2, design and development. And then chapter 5, we use the template DSRKCF to justify, to explain, to expand the discussion of the knowledge contribution. All right. This diagram, ID is the intersection diagram. One of the diagram I introduced to my student. When this diagram is very important to them to build the narrative of chapter 1. All right. So the narrative can coming from integrating the application domain, for example, pandemic issue, pandemic problem, or smart farming, or virtual reality context, right? And then what the problem here? All right, and then solution domain is your solution to this problem coming triggered by application domain. What the solution domain coming in, right? Probably you are expert in the ontology engineering, for example. Then you deal with the ontology engineering as a solution domain, all right? And then when you build the solution, then you need to make sure another circle, another bubble here is the IS. Or if you information system field or computer science field, what considered as a knowledge contribution? This is right. The third this one this IS or ICT computer science domain to control you to position that's okay. This is your contribution that makes sure your PhD or master merit, right? Okay, so this contribute to the body of knowledge. And then solution domain is what you bring the solution or your artifacts. And then application domain is the contact, all right? The problem coming from industry, the problem coming from the reality, the problem the problem coming from your partners, your business partner. This is attract the industry interest. The prototyping you build to demonstrate must meet or serve this application domain context, right? Okay, I give you one example. One of my students, right? How the student built the narrative using design science research by using this intersection diagram. He works in the context of smart farming. All right. In the smart farming context, is application domain. He built a very nice story about smart farming, and then he found that okay. We found in the smart farming practical problem is about monitoring issue. How we can monitor tanaman itu bermula daripada biji benih sampailah dia membesar dan sampai kita harvest, right? This project I'm working in the dalam projek smart farming saya di Top Door. Kita tanam buah-buah rock melon Terengganu, alright? So ladang di Terengganu itu kita menghadapi of course kita pakai IoT sistem dan sebagainya, tetapi kita nak dapat ada satu inovasi untuk monitor the rock melon grow from biji benih sampai kita semai, sampai mula dari kita semai sampai kita boleh harvest dia. Alright. Jadinya student PhD coming from industry, public listed company, dia buat PhD dengan saya. Dan dia rasa bahawa I nak satu inovasi tentang monitoring the proses membesarnya sebuah pokok buah rock melon itu, right? So dia build narrative about the issue in monitoring. Lepas tu dia come up dengan solution solution domain now dia kata. Untuk monitoring ini, saya nak, dia tahu saya pakar dalam ontologi engineering, pemodelan tentang sesuatu knowledge. Maka dia kata, okay, we use ontologi engineering as the solution. Okay, so we build the circle of ontologi engineering sebagai pendekatan untuk menyelesaikan masalah. Alright. Lepas tu, circle yang ketiga tadi ialah kita kata tadi, ICT domain. Okay. Sebab kita nak buat PhD thesis, kita bukan kata nak selesaikan masalah tentang smart farming, dan kita juga tahu ada satu pendekatan yang kita boleh guna untuk menyelesaikan masalah tersebut, tetapi kita juga kena pastikan bahawa aktiviti yang kita buat ini ada sumbangan pengetahuan dalam domain IT itu sendiri. Okay, dalam domain AS itu sendiri ataupun dalam domain computer science itu sendiri. Jadi dia merasakan bahawa untuk monitoring isu ni dia nak guna teknologi virtual reality. Yes, of course kita terima. Tetapi apakah contributionnya nanti di dalam domain virtual reality itu? Alright. So the virtual reality dia telah buat, mungkin dia telah buat survey, dia mungkin telah buat literature review, dia ada jumpa literature review paper sebagainya. Dia merasakan bahawa salah satu gap, okay, dalam virtual reality ini ialah tentang method untuk membangunkan sesebuah dashboard VR itu. We call it virtual reality dashboard design method. Okay. So, dia bermain dalam kolam ini. Dia main dalam this pool of the literature. Then he find out, okay, saya nak menyelesaikan masalah smart farming in terms of monitoring issue. Saya nak gunakan pergatan teknologi, tetapi contribution saya ialah dalam apa? Dalam membangunkan membangunkan virtual reality dashboard. Iaitu method what the best method to build or to design virtual reality dashboard. So now the virtual reality dashboard design method is an artifact is going to develop. And he need to make sure his artifact make a new knowledge contribution to the body of knowledge dalam kategori teknologi virtual reality, right? So, if we go back to the design scientist artifact category, he going to contribute or make contribution in terms of method, okay? Design artifact is under category of method, pendekatan untuk membangunkan sebuah dashboard VR, papan VR. So dia pun build narrative, dia build narrative macam ni. And dalam problem statement dia, dalam chapter 1, okay, berdasarkan diagram ini, he build narrative. He build the background study, he build the motivation based on smart farming issue. Oh, of course nice lah. Industri suka. Industri suka bila lihat thesis bermula dengan cerita pasal real problem. Alright? Dia ceritalah pasal okay, smart farming baguslah, pakai IoT dan sebagainya. Tetapi dia kata monitoring the crop is critical because yields without careful supervision will result in high loss. Okay? Then dia kata monitoring process is challenging when it involves large. Okay. Then industri suka boleh dengar cerita pasal yang dalam smart farming ini. Dan di highlight monitoring issue. Lepas itu dia kata dalam monitoring issue ini, benda yang paling penting adalah we need to have method to best design dia punya dashboard. Supaya bila orang pakai VR headset itu, dia merasakan bahawa okay, dashboard dia ni senang nak faham. Dashboard dia ni dia bangunkan sangat users with element of users UX and users interface yang lebih baik. So bagaimana dia nak come out dengan better design VR dashboard design method, right? And then apa yang dia buat ialah dia dalam problem statement dia dapat review dan dapat kenal pasti key paper. Kalau saya dengan student saya akan tanya, okay, dalam problem statement you ada apa? Ada naratif tentang application domain. Kedua, ada naratif tentang key paper. So yang saya biru bawah ni tadi, okay, this is a key paper. Key paper tentang apa? Key paper tentang VR dashboard design method. Directly talking about VR dashboard design method. Sebab tu tak banyak. Alright, sebab tu tak banyak. Selalunya key paper ni dia tak banyak. Dan kalau saya jadi examiner, saya akan tanya, can you show me your key paper? Okay. Dan selalunya key paper dia reflected in the thesis title. Kalau thesis title tu dia kata dia buat algorithm untuk smart farming, ataupun dia buat algorithm untuk crop traceability. So I nak key paper yang berkaitan dengan algorithm crop traceability. Itu saja. Dan from this key paper kita tahu kat mana kita nak make differences. Okay. Sebab itulah dalam problem statement, benda yang wajib adalah citation, benda yang wajib adalah application domain, dan benda yang wajib adalah key paper citation. Sebab tu dalam biru itu adalah key paper citation. Alright. Okay. This is another example dalam chapter 1. Okay, dalam chapter 1 di mana student dia gunakan diagram intersection diagram tadi. Again, solution domain dia nak guna perkataan ontologi, sebenarnya agak bias lah sebab saya pakar ontologi, saya kata kita guna perkataan ontologi, nanti kita justify lah macam mana kita guna perkataan ontologi sebagai solution. Kemudian application domain dia buat dalam autism spectrum disorder, mainly dekat dalam high functioning, dia dah narrow down dah tu. Lepas tu dalam functioning dia fokus on the social skill. Ini application domain dia. Dan cerita application domain ni orang-orang industri, pakar-pakar perubatan sukalah sebab dia nak tahu macam mana your solution boleh kita manfaatkan, dan penarik dana sukalah untuk dengar benda ni. Alright, pemberi dana. Kemudian yang third circle ni very important sebab inilah PhD dan master dia. Setelah dia review, dia buat literature, dia merasakan bahawa dalam domain virtual reality, okay, ada satu kolam yang berkaitan tentang virtual reality development methodology. Dan dia merasakan ada key paper yang berkaitan dengan virtual reality development methodology ini yang ada gap dekat situ. Dari segi menggunakan pendekatan ontologi untuk membantu virtual reality development methodology yang lebih baik. Alright? So itulah kisah dia bermula dengan naratif. Cuma kalau students perasan di sini, saya letak kuning-kuning, the yellow one ni, saya menggambarkan bahawa dekat sinilah citation. Student ni dia tak ada citation. Problem statement tak ada citation, salah. And then wrong. Okay, the problem statement must have citation, must have key citation. So this kuning-kuning ni the location that I ask my student to insert the citation. Dan kalau you perasan dekat sini, last kali, unfortunately, current virtual reality development methodology do not pay much attention to having knowledge-based model explicitly in their methodology. Ini gap yang dia nak highlight. Dan gap inilah dia nak gunakan perkataan ontologi untuk build the new virtual reality development methodology as artifacts. Right? And dekat sini, current kat kuning ni, ini saya kata, you must insert the key paper. The key paper about what? The key paper about virtual reality development methodology. Kat situ. Nampak tak? So the problem statement tak perlu panjang. The problem statement need to be 1 or 2 paragraph only. Sharp, very direct and clear, right? For example, this is a PhD thesis problem statement only you can see in one slide. Okay, in one slide, right? This also in only one slide, right? So itulah yang dia buat. Okay. Dalam seterusnya, I introduce as well the student nak adopt design sciences punya thesis ini. Another diagram I call it research strategy diagram. Ini pun diagram yang boleh digunakan dalam chapter 1. Okay, we organize according to the design science research by Peffer punya phases, and then dalam situ ada kotak-kotak. Okay, kotak-kotak itu apa benda knowledge, capture key knowledge, what knowledge, know what knowledge for each DSRM stage strategy. For example, this thesis student recently graduated from UiTM, my former student. He also adopted design science research. He come up with the design approach of central repository supporting domain of interlocking institutional world. And if you can see the template diagram I give to the student, he organized what are the know what knowledge. Okay, when they conduct the first stage, what are the key know what knowledge? He must understand, he must read. This is key knowledge. The reader must know, he must know when to build the artifact. So to start from there, the first stage, first phase. Second phase, what the key knowledge they want, he must know. Design and development, what the key knowledge he must know. So this diagram I provide to the student to help students to adopt design science research thesis and to organize this thesis chapter. All right. For example, this one know what knowledge. Okay, they organize to the phases of the design science research, and then during design and development, we have this is a most difficult chapter built based on your context. Design a big innovative artifact. Technical difficulty exists in this chapter. Create new knowledge to knowledge base. Need to observe. Artifact novelty will be produced from this chapter, and then you will need to justify and claim you have a better solution coming out from this chapter 4. All right. Then demonstration evaluation. Demonstration evaluation considering the thesis evaluation. All right. So the evaluation demonstration, put your prototype, put your artifact to work, put it through, get some feedback on that using scenario, using case study, using survey, using interview, so on, to measure the effectiveness or the utility of the artifact. All right. So in the chapter 1, you can see that how I organize the thesis. Those who want to adopt the design science research, the first diagram is the ID, like this one, intersection diagram. The second one is a research strategy diagram. I think if you want to understand in depth, a deep dive of design science, we need to another workshop, hands-on workshop using this diagram. And then the chapter 2. All right, in the chapter 2, remember in the problem in the chapter 1, I mentioned about key paper, right? So in the chapter 2, you must have a key paper diagram. Okay. For example, you can have diagram like this. You can have diagram in any diagram that representing key paper. Okay, the key paper. So student build the thesis, design science research thesis with me. If the student cannot show the key paper diagram like this or in this table like this and highlighting the gap, or the student do not find any key paper regarding the thesis, that's a problematic, right? It's problematic, right? So this is chapter 2. So in the chapter 2, the key paper diagram is a must, okay? All right. And then you have a table about key paper diagram and highlighting the gap. And you can see from the finding of the key paper, you can go back to the chapter 1 and then build your problem statement. Okay, cross-check your problem statement. All right, and then also you can cross-check with your motivation or background research in your chapter 1. And the chapter 3, the ontology of chapter 3 is very simple. You have part 1. You overview of design science research, and then part 2, apply your design science research into your context. Right? Okay, that is a chapter 2. And then the part 1 you can use. I always give students the template of Peffer, design science research. You can use it. You can explain it based on your understanding. You can explain this diagram for the part 1, and then the part 2 you use the diagram and then map your chapter. This is part 2 of the thesis, design sciences thesis, chapter 3. For example, the Peffer template, for example, the first box, chapter 1, the second box, chapter 2, the third and fourth box, or even a fifth box is the chapter 4, for example, okay, based on the skeleton 1 of thesis, right? And then this slide based on example of my student did a PhD on the virtual reality design, dashboard design method, all right? They come up, propose a new virtual reality dashboard design method in addressing research gap identified in literature review. Based on key paper, they review, they found the gap, they found come out with a new VRDM, and then improve, okay? Improve the VRDM and current VRDM literature applied in the smart farming context monitoring issue. Okay, design and development, construct a new VRDM using ontological approach because he decided to use ontology as a solution. And then demonstration, develop VR dashboard prototype. Okay, prototype also abstract, is also artifact, come up with this work. Okay, the main artifact is a VR DDM. Subsequent artifact is his virtual reality dashboard prototype using his proposed VR DDM. And then do the evaluation, they use the feedback and prototype plus new VRDM and discuss the feedback based on the interviews, right? So then the communication, right? So this is part 2 of the chapter 3 ontology, all right? Okay. This PhD Bahareh thesis, I was his examiner. So he not based on Peffer template, he based on the someone else template. I think Yalavi probably. Then again, similar structure of part 1 and part 2. The first one is overview of the DSRM, the second one is the applied, right? All right. Okay, in the chapter 3 as well, in the part 2, you remember the chapter 3 part 1 is overview, the part 2 is applied. So when you apply it, your design science framework, you need to synthesize your research design diagram, right? So another diagram that we student must have is a research design diagram, capture key know-how knowledge for each design science research methodology, design science research phase or stage. Remember in the chapter 1, we have research strategy diagram, RSD. That is a capture key knowledge on know what. But now it's a know-how. Know-how means that what are the activities or key important activities you conduct, okay, you execute, you act, okay, according to design science research framework in order to build your solution. Okay. In this case, this is example I taken from overseas thesis. Okay. On the red circle here is the design science research methodology framework, and on the right side, okay, and then the other side is activities. Okay, know-how knowledge for each stage of the design science research, right? This is from my students' thesis know-how diagram on in the red circle. This is based on Peffer, and then they have main activities and then what the output. Right? This is RSD research design diagram. I don't have a very rigid template. The template not giving from me. The template will derive or will be synthesized by the student according their understanding on the design science research. Right? And this is another student from UiTM. He did, not my student, he constructed me doing his PhD journey. And then I give the design science research workshop. And then he built the research design diagram like this to the PhD work, right? This is another my student as well. He built the ontology development methodology based on the design sciences phases, okay, and then the what activities on the right side, right? And then the chapter 5, okay, the chapter 4, and then again the chapter 4 is your your creativity to build your chapter 4, because chapter 4 is belong to you. You build, I cannot give a template, direct template on chapter 4, because the chapter 4 you build, you design and you build and you design your solution. Okay, the part 1 and the part 2 is your chapter 4, you be your evaluation. The chapter 5, again, the chapter 5, very easy. You already have developed your solution in chapter 4, then justify and expand your knowledge contribution using this diagram. And then this is a template that you can use, right? Whether your solution improvement, quadrant, your solution acceptation diagram, right? All right, I give you example of thesis, design science research thesis. Yeah? This is by Alexander Osterwalder, okay, from Sweden. If you know about business model canvas, right? Every startup or every business want to start the new business or to set up a new startup or new company, they always use this the business model canvas. You can Google now what is a business model canvas. So the business model canvas actually born from his thesis when he built the business model ontology. Okay, the business model ontology, and from the business model ontology, they come up with the business model canvas. And he adopted design science research paradigm and design science research methodology to build the business model ontology. And after a few years, then he built, from the business model ontology, he built the industrial friendly framework, we call it business model canvas, and widely used in this world when to build the company using the business model canvas. All right, this is a thesis from Hefner. Hefner students. Hefner is the founder of the design science research in information system field, and his student come up with the CRASH app, concurrent multiple stakeholder evaluation of a DSR artifact. This is, I told you, when you read the thesis, you feel it. His PhD is about developmental. It's about develop prototype. Call it CRASH app. And the business problem coming from the issue of evaluation, stakeholder evaluation. But at the time of his thesis writing, his thesis in US, he claimed he introduced the first CRASH app. He made a claim, because I told you that when you want to build the instantiation or your PhD contribution, you need to make your prototype or your solution as a first. You are the first one coin up that particular solution or abstract. And this example of thesis make that claim, all right, under Prof. Hefner, right? So I conclude that the design is not just what it looks like, feel like. Design is how it's work. And this is what you build the artifact, and you need to show the artifact how it's work, and then how your artifact can make a new knowledge contribution to the body of knowledge, right? Again, this is same again just now. So the thesis, this is some of my few my students that did a PhD thesis using design science research framework. Right? The recent one, Dr. Wira, Dr. Sata, all these students under my supervision that he graduated using design science research framework, right? When built the thesis, you can go to my website and can find out more students there. Right? All right, that's all. My sharing session. I stop at 11:30. We have another 30 minutes to discuss or to argue or to add on, to give your point of view regarding this approach. I hope there is something that we can discuss. Thank you, Doctor. I pass back to you to conduct the Q&A session. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Nazir. This is very new knowledge as well for me, and it's very interesting because you have shared with me and also to all the audience about the design science research. So audience, in the first 30 minutes, actually, Dr. Nazir have shared with us how to build up the proof of concept. Okay, he has explained to us about the proof of concept and what is the minimum value to build the minimum viable and also a product for the proof of concept. And also in the next 30 minutes also, Dr. Nazir has explained to us about the design science research methodology, which includes problem statement, solution design, and also evaluation. And Dr. Nazir also has shared with us a template and also a phase or a stage how to do a framework for the SRM, Design Science Research Methodology, and complete with the example together with the sample, which includes the problem identification, define the objective, developing the solution, how to do the demonstrations, in the methodology stage, and also evaluation. And Dr. Nazir also have shared with us the tips how to write down the problem statement, which includes the solution domain, key paper citation, and also application domain statement, which is according to Dr. Nazir, the application domain statement ni is very pemberi dana ataupun who evaluate grants research is very very happy to look at the application domain statement. And also directly, Dr. Nazir also share with us and explain with us the elaboration on what should be in each of the chapter for the thesis research. For example, we must state the know what knowledge and also know how in the chapter 3. So all of the elaboration from Dr. Nazir is really interesting and informative topic. So honorable audience, ladies and gentlemen, now we have come to Q&A session. The floor is now open for any question. You can unmute the microphone and preferably have your camera turned on, or you can forward your inquiries in the chat box as well.
Okay, Dr. Sarhan.
Yes, Doctor.
Saya ada baca dalam chat ni.
Yes, Doctor.
Boleh saya jawab satu-satu tak?
Okay, let me read first, Doctor.
Okay,
allow me to read. Okay, from Dr. Aniza, mengikut pendapat Doktor, adakah research gap melalui LR masih relevan berbanding dengan perbincangan dengan industry needs?
Okay, alright. This is soalan berkaitan dengan pragmatism. Okay, pragmatism ni kalau nak mudah cakap, saya selalu cakap dengan student, memujur lalu melintang patah. Ataupun kita kata apa saja yang kita rasa ada needs daripada industri, kita boleh olah dia menjadi research question, right? That is a fundamental lah. Jadinya saya kalau menjawab soalan doktor, adakah research gap melalui LR masih relevan berbanding dengan perbincangan dengan industri needs? Ini agak menongkah arus lah. Kalau you tanya saya, jawapan saya ialah mendapat research gap menerusi kaedah literature review seperti SLR dan sebagainya, dia agak time consuming, satu. Kemudian yang kedua, apabila kita kena pasti research gap, okay, menerusi aktiviti yang panjang, menerusi literature review itu, dia banyak kata orang tu parameters. Sebab kita akan banyak buat interpretasi berdasarkan apa previous researcher laporkan dalam artikel mereka, right? Dan ada benda-benda yang ada perkara yang previous researcher tidak laporkan pun. Alright. Jadi kita nak kata daripada literature tu kita dapat gap yang sebenar pun tidak begitu accurate juga sebenarnya. Tetapi untuk exercise akademik memang kita selalu buat macam itu, dan saya pun buat macam itu juga. Cuma bila saya menggunakan pendekatan design science research, saya tak tolak dua-dua lah. Okay? Cuma untuk mendapatkan problem tadi, saya selalunya mengambil problem daripada reality, daripada real problem. Okay? Contohnya, apa industri punya interest now? Okay? Industri kata, sekarang ini we are talking about big data. Orang semua cakap pasal big data, for example. Alright? Tetapi fundamental problem untuk menjayakan big data, industri perspektif merasakan bahawa ialah kita perlukan ada suatu data infrastructure di mana data itu at the first place dia sudah ready untuk diintegrasikan, for example. Okay? Sebagai contoh, dia kata kita nak integrate data, kita nak data semua agensi dekat kementerian ini boleh dikongsi dan boleh diguna. Dan kita nak dapatkan query, dan on the fly kita dapat query itu accurate dan tepat. Okey, maka dengan ini kita arahkan semua agensi berkongsi data. Okey, dia tidak semudah itu. Okey, dia tidak semudah itu boleh berlaku sebab dia bukan sekadar technical issue, tetapi ia juga berkaitan dengan business issue. Okey, business issue, organisasi issue. Alright. Jadi dalam konteks big data tadi, industri melihat bahawa fundamental problem untuk diselesaikan ialah kita perlu ada suatu kaedah infrastruktur untuk data quality. Maksudnya mana-mana data daripada agensi itu kita kena letak di suatu tempat, for example, yang ada governance-nya dan ada infrastrukturnya, dan data kat situ sudah bersih ataupun clean. Okey, yang ready for integration. Itu cakap-cakap orang industri. Dan bagaimana kita sebagai researcher boleh ambil cakap-cakap ini untuk kita olah dia menjadi suatu research question. Itu kita punya kepakaran lah. Untuk kita build research question daripada narrative ini, daripada cakap-cakap ini, dan kita boleh gembling literature yang sedia ada untuk kita highlight bahawa this is the issue-nya. Alright. Okey, dekat mana literature yang berperanan? Pertama, kita boleh guna literature untuk build the issue, build the narrative. Okay? Sebab cakap-cakap industri tak boleh pakai sebab tak ada citation. Satu. Then again, kita guna literature kat situ untuk build narrative tentang isu tadi. Kedua, kita nak come out dengan solution. Bila kita nak come out dengan solution, kalau you all perasan tadi, saya ada highlightkan dalam chapter 2 tadi ialah pentingnya kita fokus kepada solution terhadap key paper. Key paper itu bagi saya wajib dalam mana-mana thesis. Okay? Dan key paper ini kita masih lagi bermain dengan literature. Alright? Sebagai contoh tadi, dalam isu tadi kita dah build narrative tentang data integration. Kemudian saya kata kita kena ada satu kajian tentang integration solution. Data integration solution ataupun data solution yang tentang berkaitan dengan data quality. Dekat situlah kita fokus very narrow down kepada key paper berkaitan dengan infrastructure untuk data integration purpose. Dekat situ key paper kita keluar. Dan dekat situ kita bermain dengan literature. Dekat situ kita masih lagi bersama dengan mindset akademik yang kita kena buat lah. Dekat situ mungkinlah keperluannya systematic literature review ataupun narrative literature review. Selalu key paper ni saya tak buat systematic literature review sebab systematic literature review ni very economic. Dia sangat time consuming dan dia sangat besar dia punya cost dan masa untuk spend. Selalunya bila dapat key paper, saya akan buat narrative literature review ataupun critical literature review. Saya start ambil 7 artikel dan saya buat scope review. Saya buat narrow review, saya buat narrative literature review. Daripada situ keluar gap. Gap itu adalah gap tentang solution. Dan gap ini kita boleh letak dekat dalam problem statement. Dekat situ tadi menjawab soalan Dr. Annie, saya kata ia masih relevan lagi sebab dalam konteks key paper tadi. Mencari key paper dan mencari gap berkaitan dengan key paper tadi. Tapi untuk big business problem, nak big research narrative issue tadi, tak perlu pun sangat literature. Kita boleh guna literature yang very, yang boleh menjadikan the story tu interesting bila orang baca thesis kita. Jadi orang tak baca dah thesis kita boring. Kan? Dia baca thesis kita, this is about smart farming. Dan barulah dia nampak kat mana academic coming in dalam menyelesaikan masalah dalam smart farming, for example. Alright. Itu jawapan saya, Dr.
Nazir.
Ya.
Macam mana pula kalau katakan kita, first kita cari melalui literature review, of course kita akan nampak lah gap tu kan. And then kita backward. Maknanya kita wujudkan focus group discussion kan, yang daripada expert, untuk kita verify balik apa yang kita dapatan lah daripada LR tu tadi, untuk kita create kita punya objective thesis tu.
Boleh. Itu saya kata, dalam design science research, there is pragmatism. Kan? Macam you cakap tadi, you dah buat tadi, lepas tu you buat dalam design science kita ada satu dia panggil rigor kan. Guideline tu lagi lah rigor. Kita boleh guna any scientific method untuk mengesahkan klaim kita, untuk mengesahkan dapatan kita, tak ada masalah. That's a pragmatism. Tidak ada benda yang kita kata tak boleh, as long as kita nak meet the purpose of the accuracy, ataupun kita nak rasa dapatan kita ni perlu cross check dengan expert, for example. Now you can do expert judgment, expert review, boleh, tak ada masalah. Cuma semata-mata datang daripada literature tu, at this moment saya sudah berubah lah daripada everything is a literature driven tu, saya sudah berubah. I balance both antara literature. Tapi kalau untuk solution tadi, macam tadi kan saya tunjukkan dalam slide, saya kata saya nak build, student saya tu nak build virtual reality dashboard design method. Saya nak tengok gap dalam literature tentang orang-orang yang buat virtual reality dashboard design method. Dan dia come out dengan literature. Tapi dalam kes ini dia tak buat literature review lah. Dia dapat identify direct article yang kita claim sifat dia adalah key paper, and then key paper ini dia buat narrative literature review. Macam tu. So in term of solution, gap tu itu yang menentukan PhD merit, master merit. Yang ingat tak circle saya yang sebelah kiri tu, ICT domain contribution tu. Yang itu memang kena back to the literature. Kalau tidak nanti lemah kita, susah kita, sebab kita akademik kena give back pada body of knowledge kan. That's the literature lah. Right.
Alright, thank you, Doktor. So next question daripada Dr. Khairunisa. Assalamualaikum, Doktor. Bagi pensyarah baru, bagaimana kita nak start mencari the real problem dalam industri?
Yang ini memang pengalaman saya. Kebetulan student saya 80% daripada industri practitioner. Contohnya yang baru semester ni 2 orang daripada LHDN. Dia duduk dekat dalam big data unit, dia bergelumang dengan masalah industri berkaitan dengan data management, for example. Yang itu memang saya dapat kata orang tu calon-calon PhD yang memang dia practitioner lah. Okay? Jadi memang real, saya punya instruction mudah je. You bawa lah isu dekat pejabat you tentang data management tadi, sembang dengan saya. Daripada situ nanti saya akan olah dia menjadi research question yang akan menjadi PhD ataupun master research. Okay. Itu satu kaedah lah yang saya buat, iaitu mencari calon-calon master PhD daripada kalangan industri practitioner. Okay. Tapi pensyarah baru macam mana you nak cari dengan real problem dalam industri? Kena buat engagement lah. Okay, kena buat engagement. Kena carikan kawan industri, bertanya, buat engagement. Kita kadang-kadang kita ada conference, kita berjumpa dengan orang industri. Saya juga terlibat dengan workshop. Contohnya anjuran local council PBT menganjurkan workshop tentang pengurusan sampah, for example. Okay, saya pergi je from akademik. Kita nak tahu secara practitioner pengurusan sampah ni apa isu dia. Daripada situ saya dapat 2 orang student PhD yang buat PhD tentang pengurusan sampah. Okay, ada 2 orang student PhD yang buat pengurusan sampah, dah graduate dah. Kan? Cerita datang daripada isu naratif yang sebenar tentang pengurusan sampah di Malaysia. Right. So itulah jadinya pensyarah baru bagaimana nak start mencari real problem dalam industri. Dan again, tapi real problem ni kadang-kadang dia boleh datang daripada handbook, dia boleh datang daripada pembacaan you daripada surat khabar. Walaupun surat khabar tu tak adalah tepat dia media popular, tetapi dia dah boleh trigger you. Dia dah boleh trigger apa isu kat surat khabar yang berkaitan tentang sesuatu perkara yang I think this is relevant, yang kita kena address. So media massa tu juga sebenarnya bagi saya penting juga untuk trigger research problem. Cuma susahlah, citation pun memang susahlah, tapi kita boleh olah dia jadi satu akademik research problem, jadi boleh jadi satu research problem. Itu saya punya pandangan. Terima kasih.
Okey, diharapkan jawapan tu dapat menjawab persoalan daripada Dr. Karunisa. And satu lagi soalan daripada Dr. Aniza. Doktor, macam mana nak grab peluang bekerjasama dengan industri dan convince them untuk collaborate dengan academician?
Very nice question. Dan inilah yang saya tengah buat dan sedang buat dan sentiasa buat, di mana ia mesti bermula dengan apa kita boleh offer dengan industri. Pertama. Kemudian yang kedua, kita mesti bermula dengan sesuatu yang boleh impress dan build trust industri. Okey, kalau doktor nak tahu, saya sudah lama meninggalkan permohonan geran-geran KPT. Sudah since 2017 saya dah tinggalkan dah FRGS, saya dah tinggalkan geran-geran yang bersifat akademik yang top down ni. Sebabnya satu, geran-geran ini sangat kompetitif dan susah. Daripada situ saya berfikir, bagaimana saya boleh mencipta geran? Bagaimana saya boleh mencipta dana untuk saya dapat geran, saya dapat buat innovation dan saya dapat menyelesaikan masalah masyarakat, masalah industri. Jadi kaedah yang saya pakai ialah kaedah mencipta industri. Mencipta geran daripada memohon geran. Bagaimana kita nak cipta geran? Okay. Kita ada inovasi yang kita buat. Sebab tu saya perlukan thesis tadi. Thesis design science thesis ni dia akan keluar POC. Syarat saya, student saya, you nak buat dengan saya, design science research, mesti kena keluar POC. Macam tadi Dr. Wira tadi, yang last tadi, student yang saya tunjukkan tu, dia punya POC sekarang tengah masuk ke NATMA. NATMA sedang menggunakan secara free of charge. Okay, dalam untuk test dia punya POC dari segi repository. Dan saya ada tadi yang saya bagi yang satu slide tu, dia buat design approach untuk central repository. Dan kita test dekat NATMA, dan NATMA sedang guna prototyping. That is a result from his thesis. Alright. So kita boleh mencipta geran daripada inovasi yang kita buat ataupun daripada research yang kita buat. Tapi dengan syarat dia mesti tangible. Tangible tu ialah kita kena keluarkan POC, proof of concept daripada kerja-kerja thesis kita. Dan proof of concept itulah yang kita pergi pitching, kita pergi bawa kepada industri yang kita rasa agensi industri perlukan benda tu. Mungkin dia boleh trigger minat kat situ. Kan? Sebagai contoh, untuk dia daripada situ nanti dia akan start, okay, can we further extend your POC that meet our interest. Kat situlah peluang untuk kita menarik grant. Okay? Bila kita percaya untuk build the trust dan orang dah guna dah inovasi kita, dia akan melirik tau. Melirik ni maksudnya dia akan jadi addicted. Orang yang guna inovasi kita dan kita support inovasi kita tersebut, dia akan get addicted bila dia nampak manfaat. So bila dia get addicted, then we can repeat the industry grant. I'm talking about how we cipta grant lah. We cipta industry grant. Dan I have been working on this approach dan alhamdulillah industry grant coming in non-stop lah based on my innovation. Okay. So grant-grant tu masuk sebagai grant industri kepada universiti di atas inovasi-inovasi yang saya buat, termasuk smart bin, ada inovasi online exam, kemudian ada ontological work punya innovation, kemudian ada juga sistem pengurusan klinik and so on. Ini semua repeat grant. Jadi nak grab peluang bekerjasama dengan industri dan convince them untuk collaborate. Saya ada satu talk on this approach yang saya panggil industry grant mencipta bukan memohon. Itu saya punya tajuk lah. Yang tu kita boleh buat another session lah nanti. Macam mana kita boleh menarik grant daripada brain ataupun innovation yang kita ada. okey, secara kumulatif ataupun secara ni secara inovasi lah untuk kita tarik grant. Jadi kita tak payah mohon pun. Tak payah mohon grant sebab kadang-kadang orang offer nak pakai kita ni inovasi. Dan kita tarik dia masuk sebagai grant industri. Itu saya punya pandangan. Untuk further explain benda tu kita boleh buat another session lah nanti. Pendekatan itu.
Alright, Doktor. Menarik ya, Doktor. Bukan sahaja memohon tetapi mencipta grant.
Ya, betul.
Sounds interesting. Okay, soalan daripada Zura. Assalamualaikum. Can I have the slide? Thank you. So boleh kita dapatkan slide ke macam mana, Doktor?
Saya akan bagi Google Drive link nanti. Dalam situ ada slide dan dalam situ ada semua key paper berkaitan dengan design science research, dan please share kepada student-student yang berminat untuk buat design science research. Terima kasih.
Alright, Doktor. Satu soalan lah daripada saya. Dalam kita nak buat research ni kan, kita nak tengok benefit or we want to look at the profit. So, mana yang perlu kita letakkan priority, Doktor? Benefit ataupun profit?
Good question. Untuk era sekarang, dalam keadaan kita tidak cukup duit untuk research fund, akademik perlu kreatif. Akademik perlu ada entrepreneur mindset. Akademik now is no longer akademik. Saya selalu panggil akademik sekarang kita jadi academic planner. Maksudnya akademik yang ada minda keusahawanan. Maka untuk jawab soalan tadi, saya rasa kita kena ada both. Cuba kita bayangkan research fund yang kita dapat itu sebagai satu investment. Alright? So bila investment dia ada return on investment, ada ROI. Kalau you tanya saya, kalau saya dapat FRJS 30,000, saya akan letak satu mindset bagaimana saya boleh create satu inovasi yang boleh menarik grant lebih daripada 30,000 daripada investment yang FRJS buat kepada saya. Dengan 30,000 tadi, saya boleh keluarkan satu prototyping ataupun proof of concept yang di mana proof of concept tadi mampu menarik grant industri lebih daripada 30,000. Kalau itu saya boleh buat, maka saya telah mencapai satu satisfaction tentang ROI tadi. Iaitu benefit saya beri juga, at the same time saya dapat juga menarik dana yang baru. Jadi bagi saya, untuk era sekarang, di mana akademik industri perlu bersinergi, akademik industri perlu bekerjasama dalam secara mutual understanding, mutual benefit, maka bagi saya dua-dua tu kena ada. Sebab berkawan dengan industri, dia tidak ada benda yang free. And industri dia always look into the profit oriented. Kita mungkin kita kata kita tidak begitu situ, kita lebih kepada knowledge contribution. Tapi bila kita nak berkawan dengan mereka, dia kata saya tak minat sangat knowledge contribution, saya nak you punya intangible outcome yang kami boleh pakai, yang kami boleh guna, yang kami boleh manfaatkan. Maka kita kena dua-dua lah. 2+1. That's why saya punya slide tadi ada satu gambar thesis tu kan. 2 birds 1 stone kan. Itu maksud saya. Kita boleh mensantuni industri sebab kita juga perlukan dana daripada mereka. Pada masa sama juga kita juga boleh mensantuni body of knowledge yang kita kena jaga supaya student itu layak dianugerahkan PhD dan master in term of PhD contribution, knowledge contribution tadi. Okay, itu soalan saya, jawapan saya.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for the good thought. Okay. Alright, so ada apa-apa soalan lagi? Is there any questions on the floor?
Silakan, saya suka soalan. Kadang-kadang ada benda yang kita kata...
Ya kan, ada lagi tak?
Kita ada 9 minit.
Any more question?
Boleh faham ke overall idea? Pak, benda ni kadang-kadang dia very theoretical, tapi saya sebenarnya ada beberapa workshop lah yang saya go in physical mode lah kan, yang kita boleh buat hands on, kita boleh macam tadi pendekatan menarik grant industri menggunakan inovasi kita pun ada juga yang kita boleh explore further lah kalau minat kan. So mungkin kita boleh lihat benda-benda macam itulah nanti. Sebab saya punya pendekatan ni kebanyakannya memang a bit of the box sikit lah, menongkak arus sikit. Tetapi dia kena pragmatik lah, sebab keadaan kita ni mencabar jugalah dalam keadaan nak buat research, kadang-kadang dana tak cukup, dengan KPI yang mendesak, tetapi kita tak cukup dana untuk buat kajian dan sebagainya kan. So kena be smart on that way. Mungkin kita boleh explore lagi lah. Right. Ada lagi soalannya?
So ada lagi tak soalan?
Salam doktor.
Adakah sesuai DSR diaplikasikan juga untuk FYP pelajar computer science, final year project? Kalau saya tak silap, untuk FYP pelajar computer science sesuai ke tak DSR?
Alright. Macam saya kata tadi, DSR thesis dia postgraduate student is more comfortable lah kan, sebab kita nak menekankan kepada pembangunan artifak dan juga kita nak knowledge creation tadi, knowledge contribution. Tapi dalam projek-projek FYP ni dia tak tengok sangat knowledge contribution kan, dia tengok produk kan, dia tengok produk semata-mata kan. So template yang DSR bagi tu boleh ambil lah, boleh digunakan lah sebagai template untuk membangunkan your punya FYP project. Cuma saya tak pasti sama ada examiner ke sebagainya appreciate benda tu, sebab biasanya kalau dalam FYP ni dia contoh you build software, you pakai rapid application development methodology pun dah cukup dah okey dah, ataupun you pakai waterfall model untuk develop you punya software system pun dah okey dah dalam FYP kan. Sebab you tak buat extension ataupun contribution knowledge pada waterfall ataupun pada RAD, you just apply. Boleh, tapi untuk DSR ni dia lebih sesuai kepada you nak organize your academic work dengan di samping you keluarkan produk macam FYP, at the same time you ada make contribution kepada knowledge, body of knowledge. Yang tu saya rasa kalau you tanya saya nak pakai ke DSRM untuk diaplikasikan dia, boleh, tapi you just pakai macam tu je lah, tak perlu nak justify sangat pasal knowledge contribution tadi lah. Sebab you dalam FYP kita lebih kepada memfokuskan kepada functionality produk kan, produk tu kita bangunkan bagaimana, gunakan apa kan, untuk selesaikan masalah apa, macam tu je kan produk. Dia lebih kepada that particular tangible product yang kita nak develop kan, dia tidak kepada academic contribution, knowledge contribution tu sangat, right? Okay, terima kasih.
Okay, any more question?
Tak ada soalan.
Soalan?
Tak ada soalan mikrofon daripada student direct ni, daripada bisa chat. Ini semua student ke ataupun ada ni?
Ada, saya rasa ada staff ni, staff.
Ada staff.
Most of them is a academic staff.
Okay.
Yang saya rasa sebab saya memang tertarik dengan template yang doktor bagi tu. Saya rasa audience kat sini pun tak sabar sebenarnya nak terima slide doktor ni.
Okey, kejap lagi saya
sendiri yang tengok pun saya rasa macam wow, template ni memang bolehlah apply untuk research design kan for each of
boleh.
area.
Kejap lagi saya bagi link Saya nak susun balik ada key paper yang you all kena sebab
boleh doktor.
Folder tu besar, dia tak boleh bagi by email dan ni dia kena
kena by di drive.
Dr. Nazir.
Ya.
Key paper yang doktor sebut tu kan, doktor ambil kira yang 3 tahun tu juga ke?
Dia key paper selalunya 5 years back.
Ambil 5 tahun.
5 tahun ke belakang. Okay, 5 tahun ke belakang.
Yang dalam problem statement tadi kan doktor,
yes.
Baik-baik saya ada tengok tadi tu dia punya tips ataupun draft untuk menulis problem statement itself pun saya rasa dah memang sangat menarik dan jelas. Ada solution domain, key paper citation dan also application domainnya statement kan.
Yalah, itu saya punya simplification lah untuk, sebab ramai student saya nak buat design science, tapi based on my pengalaman, based on diagram-diagram yang saya boleh templatekan, dan saya bagi student mudah kerja lah kan. Tetapi I'm very open kepada improvement, Cuma dalam key paper tadi dia mesti by default dia kena 5 tahun ke belakang. Tapi kadang-kadang ada 5 tahun ke belakang, dia ada gap tau. Kadang-kadang kita 5 tahun ke depan, tapi research tu kadang-kadang dia terberhenti kat situ lama sikit. Jadi lepas tu kita jumpa balik. Apa tak? Maksudnya ada group di mana ataupun ada previous researcher tu memang topik tu dia berehat setahun kadang dia rehat 2 tahun. Jadi kadang-kadang by default 5 tahun ke belakang, tapi kadang-kadang kita tak dapat, kita akan drag lagi sikit lah ke belakang. Tapi key paper tu sifat dia tu kena jelas. Kalau kita buat research pasal buat donat for example, key paper tu memang cerita pasal buat donat lah. Dia jangan cerita buat benda lain ataupun dia indirect paper. Dia ada kaitan tapi dia indirect. Dia tak cerita betul-betul fokus pasal pembangunan kuih donat. Faham saya? That's why key paper tu sebenarnya, kalau mana-mana student PhD master pun, key paper tu tak banyak sebenarnya. Key paper tak banyak. Dan kita concentrate on the key paper punya improvement. Make difference among the key paper. Kalau ada 11 paper, maksudnya yang ke-12 adalah student punya thesis lah. Improvement tu. Kan? Beza tu. Itu saya punya definition of key paper. Kadang-kadang student kata, doktor saya ada 40 key paper. 40 key paper? Betul ke? Kita tengok masa tu. Ini bukan. Ni ya. 5 saja key paper dia sebenarnya. Daripada 40. Kan? Tapi saya bukan bermaksud saya menolak pendekatan SLR, pendekatan NLR ni. Saya pun buat juga review paper. Cuma SLR ni saya jarang-jarang buat. Saya ada satu paper SLR, kalau you buka saya punya website tu, ada satu paper tentang social media sharing for knowledge sharing. Social media for knowledge sharing. Itulah satu-satu paper SLR saya bersama student PhD saya yang menyebabkan saya punya hash index melonjak naik. Itu kelebihan SLR. SLR paper akan melonjak naik you punya hash index sebab dia akan push dia punya citation. Macam itulah. Kalau kita bermain dengan SLR untuk tujuan-tujuan macam tu ataupun untuk tujuan kita membuka area baru, kan, membuka area baru dalam suatu perkara tu untuk kita buat direction baru, dia bagus. Sebab SLR ni dia penat tau. Kita kena, dia punya cost tu masuk dari segi masa dan segi tu memang agak tedious job lah, tedious job. So that's why kalau nak thesis punya purpose tadi, saya kata okay, you tak bayar SLR tak apa, you identify key paper, based on key paper kita keluarkan satu paper, kita panggil dia scope review paper ataupun NLR review paper ataupun kita panggil critical review paper. Dan from that dia bermain dengan dia punya kolam tu lah, kolam key paper tu je. Macam tu. Itu saya punya pendekatan lah.
Betul. So kita dapat contoh-contoh ni lebih banyak kepada computer science lah kan, ataupun IT lah.
Yes, betul.
Kalau DSR ini kita nak apply contoh dalam bidang yang berbeza, macam Dr. Sohan dia adalah sains gunaan, saya adalah sains geometrik, land survey.
Dr. ini sains survey?
Saya dulu kan buat GIS tu kan, yang buat GIS tu. So macam mana kita nak applykan template ni, ya, macam kita tengok macam Dr. Tawa contohnya kan, dia ada own template yang universal lah, yang kita semua bidang kita boleh pakai. Tapi kalau kita nak adapt Dr. Nazir punya template ni, macam mana kesesuaian dia tu untuk kita twist dia sesuai dengan bidang kita?
Okey, soalan yang bagus. Sebab pertamanya saya tidak ada lagi student yang buat design sains dalam bidang sains IT, kan. Jadi saya sebenarnya tak pernah gunalah pendekatan ini dalam bidang lain. Cuma dia punya general rules dia simple je. As long as dalam mana-mana bidang pun yang ada buat design sains punya mindset, maksudnya dia ada buat pembangunan artifact, okey. Dan saya rasa ia tidak lagi jauh lah daripada maksud design science punya pendekatan tu, sebab dia SOI ada artifact development, kan. Artifact development, kalau dalam field you, artifact development tu macam mana, what type of artifact, macam mana artifact yang you maksudkan dalam bidang you, kan. Contohnya mungkin dalam bidang sebab design science ni sebenarnya in general dia bukan dalam AS ICT tau. Dia ada satu group, ada satu direction dipanggil design science research yang dia regardless of information system pun. Dia kalau you Google ada satu design science itu sendiri, dia sebenarnya datang daripada engineering punya domain, ada computer science, CS, lepas tu daripada architecture. Tapi dari segi sains tu saya tidak begitu pasti Dr. Annie, sebab it's a good question. Nanti saya cuba tengok macam mana aplikasi dalam bidang macam perubatan dan sains macam kan. Yang tu saya reserve my answer lah Dr. Annie, dari segi nak generalize kepada selain daripada ICT punya SSD. Kalau engineering ICT no problem, tapi selain daripada field ini saya reserve my answer lah. Untuk nak kata dia boleh secara mutlak tu saya tak pasti. Adakah perlu adjustment, tapi fundamentalnya ialah as long as ada artifact development, sepatutnya design science framework boleh coming in, right? Thank you.
Okay. Ada ni apa, Puan Nur Zalina nak bertanya tu.
Betul, doktor saya nak bertanya. Adakah DSR sesuai? Oh, sangat sesuai. Sangat sesuai. DSR sesuai juga untuk education research untuk computer science. Sangat sesuai. Boleh Dr. Nazirina boleh. Ada student saya yang daripada fakulti pendidikan yang adopt design science research sebab dia buat instructional design dalam teaching tu. Tapi again lah, saya ontologi kan, jadi dia buat ontological lah untuk design, untuk standardizekan dia orang punya curriculum design. Okay, education dia. Alright. Okay, kita sudah lebih 3 minit. Ada lagi ke? Last sekali saya nanti saya bagi.
Ada lagi tak? Any more questions? Last one. So kalau tak ada. Saya ucapkan ribuan terima kasih kepada Dr. Ernie kerana memberi peluang untuk saya berkongsi ilmu. Kepada Dr. Sahan sebagai moderator, terima kasih kerana mempengerusikan program ini. I'm very open.
Sekejap Dr. Nazir. Saya rasa Dr. Nur Zalina ni dia ada soalan yang lebih kot. Boleh unmute ke ni Dr. Solahan?
Okey, Assalamualaikum. Boleh dengar suara saya ke?
Boleh, Doktor. Silakan.
Saya Zalina dari UiTM Rao. Okay, so firstly, thank you very much for the sharing. And then saya nak tanya, katakan saya sekarang ni... Hello? Doktor boleh dengar, Doktor?
Boleh dengar.
Okay.
Boleh dengar.
Okay, so saya dah mengajar programming dah banyak tahun. And then katakan saya nak buat research mengenai programming ni. Mungkin masalah student tu susah nak faham ke apa. Tu tadi saya tanya, DSR tu sesuai tak untuk katakan saya nak buat research berkaitan dengan bidang macam tu. Okay, tu satu. And then boleh tak saya jadikan macam feedback daripada student tu yang kenapa dia tak faham, itu jadi dia punya problem dia.
Okay, pertama saya suka dengan soalan you punya the way you nak build narrative of this problem tu dengan cara student punya feedback, betul tak?
Ya, betul Doktor.
Okay, yang itu you boleh build your research problem. Tapi you cuba apply scientific rigor. Scientific rigor tu maksudnya you dapatkan feedback tu secara saintifik lah. Okay?
Alright.
Dia bukan macam sembang-sembang kat Dicamor ataupun sembang-sembang dekat McDonald, tak. Okay. Dia kena dalam guideline design research, dalam cycle relevance itu, dia punya problem dia boleh datang daripada business problem. Dan business problem pula dia boleh datang daripada people, tapi kena apply scientific rigor. Di mana you build dia punya narrative tu daripada macam kita, kalau kita nak build kita punya gap, kita buat SLR kan, kita buat NLR, kita buat critical review. Itu scientific rigor lah. Dia tak boleh macam hearsay macam tu. Okay, you buat cerita, tak boleh. Sebab bila kita put in the introduction ataupun background, nanti kita kena buat citation, kita kena buat reference kan kat situ. Soalan yang kedua, you kata tadi, boleh tak benda ini di-apply dekat dalam problem macam ini, di-apply dekat dalam design science? Jawapan saya boleh. Cuma apa agak-agak you punya aim dari segi artifact development tadi? Sebagai contoh, you kata, doktor, daripada kefahaman saya kepada student ni susah nak faham dari segi ni, saya rasa kita nak kena ada satu method dari segi mendidik ataupun mengajar student ini dengan method by example. Method by example ni ada orang publish macam-macam method by example. Method by example kan kita belajar programming by example. Saya dulu belajar programming by example. Jadi saya kata by example tu. Jadi banyak doktor. Ada John kata ada kaedah method by example ni macam ni. Method by example ada version Merriam macam ni. You dapat kumpulkan 10 key paper. I'm saying about key paper You dapat kumpulkan 10 key paper tentang method mengajar by example. Faham tak?
Okay, faham doktor.
And then you analyse secara literature review, you analyse that key paper and then you synthesize the gap. And then that gap you build your research problem then put them dalam problem statement.
Okay.
Lepas tu you build the artifact lah. Jadi you come out dengan your method tentang Nozalina by example method lah untuk mengajar. Dan you can end up the design science research kat situ.
Oh, so method tu sendiri adalah artifact dia.
Betul. Sebab dalam design science research artifact kategori, dia ada beberapa kategori. Antara kategori dia artifact itu adalah sebuah method. Yang kita kategorikan sebagai method. Boleh? Hello.
Oh, okay, clear, very clear. Thank you very much, Doctor. Okay, very clear, Doctor. Thank you very much.
Yes, okay.
Alright, okay.
Okay, terima kasih.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Nozalina.
Okay, welcome. Okay, thank you.
Alright. Okay, Dr. Nazir, thank you very much. We have now reached the end of today's webinar. Once again,
Dr. Sorry. Tadi sebenarnya waktu yang method tu, saya tak sure line saya je yang putus-putus ke, tapi ada juga yang check dekat situ. Sebenarnya waktu yang doktor terangkan pasal method tu line putus-putus sebenarnya. Mungkin line doktor ni yang putus. Okay.
Okay, tapi Dr. Nozalina dah clear lah. Dah clear.
Saya dah clear, tapi sebenarnya part yang method tu dia sebenarnya putus-putus sebenarnya. Sedangkan rasanya method tu yang paling ni lah, dia ada part yang tiba-tiba putus tadi.
Oh, okay.
So bagaimana
saya ulang
Dr. Nazir nak explain sekali lagi? Boleh, no problem. Sebab tadi kita pun mula lambat kan. Boleh carry on.
Dia dalam design science research ini, kalau Zainal perasan, tadi saya dalam slide saya yang asal, yang atas tu, saya ada tunjukkan what are kind of artifact. What the category of artifact yang kita boleh hasilkan. So dalam slide ni, kalau you perasan, artifact ini dia ada beberapa kategori. Okay? So sebagai contoh, kategori yang pertama ialah berkaitan tentang construct. You boleh come out your punya thesis artifact contribution tu, dia boleh, it can be construct, it can be model, it can be method. Tadi method tadi. So dalam method kategori ni dia banyak. Sebagai contoh, you boleh buat algorithm, that's method. You boleh buat methodology, that method. Ada student saya, dia buat virtual reality dashboard design method. Dia buat satu framework macam mana nak guide developer nak build the virtual reality dashboard. Itu juga di kategori method. Design principle, design guideline, that is under method punya kategori. Okay, macam tadi method mengajar programming by example, that is also under method. Itu maksud saya tadi. Jadi artifact itu dia ada banyak berkategori. Okay, dan kita kena justify lah method kita itu new. Sebab tu kita perlu ada key paper. Key paper tu yang berkaitan dengan method tadi. Key paper tadi berkaitan dengan model kita tadi. Key paper tadi berkaitan dengan construct tadi. Key paper tadi berkaitan dengan instantiation tadi. Lepas tu benda ni kita explain guna pula framework ni bila dalam chapter 5. Chapter 5. Chapter 5 ni tak payah pening-pening kepala nak explain macam mana, gunakan framework macam ini. Kita positionkan kita punya artifact tu dekat mana? Quadrant. Yang ini dah ada template dah. Yang ni kalau student saya dia memang suka. Senang doktor, senang hidup saya doktor, ada template ni, dia explain saja contribution dia kat mana, knowledge contribution dia kat mana, quadrant yang mana. Okay? Cuma student selalu terbabas. Kadang-kadang dia terlalu ambitious, dia kata saya punya ni invention doktor. Jangan. Invention ini selalunya ialah orang yang pertama. First researcher yang point up benda tu. Contoh, you lah orang yang pertama membuat decision support system. You boleh claim invention. Okay? Sebab tu saya bagi contoh tadi macam Bill Gates. Bayangkan Bill Gates buat PhD, dia adopt design science research dan produk yang dikeluarkan tadi gunakan research ialah produk dia ialah Microsoft operating system tadi. Faham tak?
Okay.
Dan pada ketika itu memang tak ada orang buat pun prototype tu. Sebab tu saya kata prototype juga boleh jadi PhD bila kita adopt design science research.
Menarik.
Benda ni akan menokah haruslah kepada paradigm lama kita dekat Malaysia yang melihat bila orang buat prototype saja, ni tak ada research ni. Dia jadi implement. Dia memang betul by default dia tak ada research, tapi dia boleh jadi ada research if you are the first one claim and beat that prototype, that association, that solution. Tu bila kita boleh hujahkan dia dalam quadrant invention. Tapi sangat susah lah. Itu selalunya sangat susah lah. Siapa yang buat first Wi-Fi, dia boleh claim dia quadrant invention. Siapa yang buat first protocol TCP/IP protocol for example, dan dia boleh claim dia sebagai invention. Tapi kebanyakan orang ni tak buat PhD, orang ni buat industri kan. Tapi kalau kita bawa dalam konteks akademik, macam itulah cerita dia. Alright, terima kasih.
Okay, terima kasih doktor. Alhamdulillah clear.
Okay, thank you Dr. Nazarina. Ini ada Dr. Teh beritahu innovation a better choice than invention. Maybe dia ni.
Invention innovation tak selalunya ada research. Okay, selalunya innovation ni sebenarnya kita buat value added pada sesuatu perkara. Okay, so innovation kita bolehlah pergi kepada quadrant improvement ataupun acceptation. Tapi invention actually something that totally advanced daripada innovation, and then it's totally new lah, that invention. Sebab tu jarang-jarang kalau saya pergi buat thesis seminar dan student buat adopt design science research, dia kata saya buat invention. Saya rasa jangan terlalu overclaim. Terlalu overclaim nanti bahaya. Invention selalunya ialah orang yang first yang membuat suatu perkara, itulah satu benda itu. Okay. Tadi soal saya invention.
Audience line Dr. Nazir tak okey nampaknya. Putus dah. Kita tunggu Dr. Nazir masuk balik.
Line saya tak okey Hello?
Ya doktor, betul. Line doktor macam dah naik turun dah.
Oh ya ke? Ni hujan lebat
ni. Maybe Dr. Teh Zaharia nak katakan sesuatu?
What do you mean? Adakah nak mengatakan bahawa
mungkin dia nak support ke, yang support statement daripada tadi ke? Innovation a better choice than invention. Just
invention actually more advanced than innovation lah. Okay, so kalau kita berkisar dengan innovation, kita boleh pergi kepada quadrant improvement, okay, exception sebagainya lah. Tapi kalau invention totally advanced lah, more than innovation lah. Okay, I'm doing innovation in education research. Then you can go for the quadrant improvement lah, atau acceptation. Okay, Kecuali you come up with a better, really first thing in the education research domain yang betul-betul new dekat situ, dan you are the first one buat benda tu, then you can claim invention. That is what I meant. Alright. Okay. Thanks.
Alright. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Day. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Muhammad Nazir. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we have now reached the end of today's webinar. Once again, on behalf of the committee, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to our speaker. Thank you, Dr. Nazir. We appreciate your time and impressive sharing with our audience today. So, to the audience, thank you for your effort in attending our webinar. I hope that all of you have benefited from the session. I believe everyone is filled with useful tips to write a good review paper and also apply all of the information that has been shared by Dr. Nazir just now. For your information, the attendance link is now available in the chat box. This link will be open for 15 minutes. Let's end our session today with Tasbih Kifara and Surah Al-As.